Not too long ago I posted a no kill, no detection run for Dishonored 1, and after that there was really only one place to go next. So now it's time to do the same thing for Dishonored 2. I put up a poll asking if I should do a straight no kill, no detection run, or take it a step further with no powers on top of that. And I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised by the results. Most of you voted for the regular no kill, no detection run, which I didn't expect at all. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Dishonored 2 expands on the first game in so many different ways. The levels are expanded on, and the powers are way more flexible and creative. Cutting all of that out would feel like leaving a lot on the table. So that's what we're gonna do here, a full no kill, no detection run on the hardest difficulty in Dishonored 2. Now I will say this game's detection system is brutal, especially on the hardest difficulty. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's start right from the beginning. We begin the game with a tutorial. It's optional so you don't have to play it, but I wanted to jump into it just to get a feel for how different this game is compared to the first game, and almost right away it feels different. Dishonored 2 was built on the Void engine, while Dishonored 1 ran on Unreal Engine 3, and you can really feel that change. The tutorial is pretty basic. We just learn how to sprint, how to slide under certain objects, how to mantle, how to swim, how to fight, and so on. There is also a stealth section, and sure, I guess we'll count that as part of this challenge, where we have to sneak up on our father Corvo Attano from behind, and doing so was a piece of cake. The same goes for the tutorial on how to pickpocket, which once again was a simple grab and go. Anyway, we're not here for the tutorial, so let's begin with the actual game. Our story starts from the perspective of Emily, but this time she's all grown up. Dishonored 2 wastes absolutely no time. We're thrown straight into Dunwall Tower during what's supposed to be a memorial ceremony for Jessamine, the previous Empress who, as we saw in Dishonored 1 at the very start of the game, gets stabbed to death. Now right away you can tell something is off. There's already tension in the air because of the Crown Killer, a mysterious serial killer that's been going around taking out Emily's political rivals, and even though Emily has nothing to do with it at all, people are starting to talk, and these rumours slowly start pointing fingers at the throne itself. A man named Duke Luca Abel shows up uninvited, and then a mysterious lady named Delilah walks in as if she owns the place. She claims that she's Jessamine's sister and the real Empress to the throne. And before you even have time to process that, everything goes to shit. The guards in the building turn on you, there are these massive, clockwork soldiers that start stomping around, and the entire tower gets taken over in minutes. Delilah completely embarrasses Corvo and Emily with dark magic. And then comes the choice. You pick who you're gonna play as, and whoever you don't pick gets turned into a literal stone statue, just frozen and left there. I went with Emily this time, mainly because my very first playthrough on this game was with Corvo, and it's been such a long time that Emily just felt like the right choice for this run. Plus, story-wise, reclaiming the throne as Emily just hits different. We watch our best friend that we knew for about, 4 minutes get stabbed to death, and after that we're locked in a room in Dunwall Tower, stripped of our gear and powers. But of course, this is Dishonored, so escaping is only a matter of time. And just like that, the challenge run officially begins. Our first objective is to escape the Imperial chambers that we're locked in. So after looking around for a bit, I noticed that I can escape out of our very own window via the ledges of the building into the royal quarters next door. We find our best friend who we knew for about 4 minutes who clearly got stabbed to death alive. And she tells us that we can escape through the safe room, and we need to make our way to a mysterious lady named Megan Foster who's waiting for us on a boat. Hey, that sounds familiar, how very innovative. Anyway, our best friend of 4 minutes finally decides to call it a day and she dies, rest in peace. Now to escape into the safe room we need to find our ring, which basically acts as a key to get into the safe room. But unfortunately the ring is being held by Mortimer Ramsey, one of the people who betrayed us in the tower, which led to all of this mess. We knock out the one enemy up here with us and dump his unconscious body into the bathroom where nobody can find him. Now for me, I noticed that there was only one enemy on the floor below us. We can either take the stairs down to get to him, or we can do it in style and jump from above behind him and knock him out too, and that's exactly what we did. Now here's where things get a bit sticky. We find Ramsey, but he's talking with 2 of his goons, and after waiting for them to stop yapping, they all make their separate ways. I noticed that this man is leaning on the railing, so that's the perfect opportunity to knock him out in silence. And then we take out the other goon, dump his body in the corner so nobody can find him. And last but not least, we need to take out Ramsey. But before we take him out, I spotted my father Corvo Attano, but he's frozen. However, in admiring the frozen statue of our father, I didn't realize Ramsey would come back in the room. So I hid behind my frozen father, which was very conveniently placed in the middle of the room, and snuck up behind Ramsey. I almost fucked it up, but I knocked him out and took the ring back that he stole. We make our way back to the safe room where we broke the lock on the door, only to realize, wait a minute, I haven't even completed the objective of non-lethally taking out Ramsey. Because you see, knocking Ramsey out is not enough for this mission. So we sprint back anime style to his unconscious body, we pick him up, and then we put him in the safe room where I can only assume he's going to be locked in here for a very long time. And then we make our way one step closer to meeting the mysterious person on the boat. And we need to get to the docks. After a few hoppity skippities down the rooftops of buildings and then onto the pipes of the edges of the buildings, we sneak past this guard. But I think I kind of broke him, because it seems to appear that he might have had too many energy drinks to drink, as he does shake uncontrollably. So I had to knock him out in our own way. We sneak past a main street which seemed to be packed full of guards into a secret alleyway. We watch this guard take a piss for no reason at all, climb up the side of the building, and hey, is that Granny Rags? What's she doing here? Anyway, we swim our way to the boat where a mysterious individual is waiting for us, and it turns out she's an ally to Anton Sokolov, who, if we remember from the first game, was a painter, an inventor, and also a physician. Anyway, our objective from here is to make our way to Karnaca to find out more about this mysterious crown killer and hopefully put an end to their reign. And just like that, the first mission, and probably the easiest, is done with 0 kills and 0 detection. Before making our way to Karnaca, we stumble upon the outsider who, just like in the first game, presents himself in a kind of dreamlike environment. He offers us the outsider mark, which basically means powers, and of course we accept. However, in this run, I'll pretty much just be using the teleport ability and the dark vision ability. Anyway, after accepting, we encounter our mother Jessamine via the heart, which contains her spirit. After all of this, we make our way to Karnaca to learn more about the crown killer. And we also need to locate the whereabouts of Anton Sokolov whilst we're there. We arrive via the docks, and from here is basically the first black box level presented to us. Now, first things first, we need to go to Addermire Station, which will take us one step closer to learning about the mysterious crown killer. And so off we go. Immediately whilst exploring this building, I stumble upon this tattooed up woman, and it turns out that she can actually help us make it to where we need to go, without any real hassle of fighting or being detected. However, she gives us an objective. All we have to do is simply bring her back a dead body that she needs, and that's literally it. We don't ask questions because, you know, in life, it's best to mind your business. Trust me on that. After accepting her strange request, we make our way to the outpost where the dead body is. Just like the first game, we need to make our way past the ever so dangerous wall of light, and the game gives you plenty of ways to go about it. The most obvious one is taking out the whale oil from the windmill powering it. We witness this poor man get absolutely obliterated by the wall of light just to show us how deadly the wall really is. And after that tragic sighting, we sneakily make our way up the stairs without getting spotted and see a guard relaxing with his back turned. And after knocking him out and dumping his body behind this metal object, I realized there's an opening in the window up there, so maybe I did not need to knock that guy out. But hey, I'll be honest, spoiler alert, I do tend to knock people out in this game that are not really required, just in case. We make our way into the window and knock out the guard who's looking for a Harry Potter book, dump his body into the bathroom, and here's where I kind of messed up quite a few times. So you see this enemy here telling this woman to move away, but we need to get past him and make our way out the building. So I hide near the entrance of the door, only to immediately get detected when he walks in. For fuck's sake. For the second attempt, I'll be honest, it's absolutely bullshit. This is what I meant in the intro when I said the detection on the hardest difficulty in this game is broken, because tell me how on earth he spots me here.
I feel safe. What is wrong?
What? That's fucking bullshit. For the third attempt, I figured I'd do the same thing, because maybe it was a stroke of luck that he detected me, and so we wait.
I'm getting tired of the sound of my own voice.
I think I just saw something.
Just fuck right off, you fucking cocksucker. Now, when I kind of freaked out and destroyed everything after he spotted me, I noticed that I broke the window accidentally, and that made me realize I could just escape out the window, and that's exactly what I did. I waited a bit longer this time and knocked him out without him realizing, and then we made our way out the building into Canal Square. Oh, and apparently this guy right here is supposed to be High Overseer Campbell from the first game. Remember when I branded his face? So I'm not too sure. Somebody can let me know on that. Anyway, after making it to high ground, I teleport my way around to the Overseer outpost where the dead body is located. And I don't like how I couldn't knock this guy out because I felt like the game kind of screwed me over here. But it doesn't matter, because there's another way in. But to enter here, I knocked out this guy in the room, who I think was praying, I don't know, so I'm going to hell. And then I teleport behind his friend in the other room and knock him out and dump his body in the same room I knocked the other guy out in. From here I look into a door, I realize that the dead body was right there. And all I have to do is take that back to the woman. But the door was locked, so I had to find the key. And I noticed that the key was in this room, but there were 2 enemies inside. So I waited patiently for one of them to leave. I jumped inside the room, I knocked out the guy who was not paying attention. I took his key and made our way into the room where the dead body is, and I escaped out the window. Now here's where I realized the teleport in this game for Emily is kind of insane because, I mean, look at this. Look how far I flung myself accidentally. But luckily I didn't get detected somehow. And from here it was a simple path back to the woman, and our objective is complete. Our reward is that she's able to turn off the power to the carriage rails, which lets us progress onwards. And just like that, we take a carriage ride to the Addermire Institute to learn some information on who the crown killer might be, as well as hopefully finding out where Anton Sokolov is. From here, it's a pretty big building with plenty of pathways to take, and whilst exploring, looking to find a safe way in the building without any detections, I noticed the gate over here was broken and it leads to rocky cliffs near the water, so I can assume that we can make our way around and hopefully find an entrance. And what do you know, there sits a conveniently opened window that leads into the building's kitchen. There seemed to be no safe way around, as it turns out NPCs in this game that are not enemies do count as detections. However, I spotted this opened hatch up there and boom, we're safely in. Well, for now. The next obstacle in my way is this big room that seems like it's full of enemies. And so the first person in our way is this guy. We knock him out and dump his body into the corner of the room where hopefully nobody can find him. Now at this point we need to get to the office of Dr. Hypatia, who hopefully can tell us what we need to know about the crown killer, and she's up there somewhere. So I tiptoe my way around, very narrowly getting detected not once but twice, to the point where the enemy walks up and kind of blocks my way in or out. So I waited for him patiently to finally lose track of what he saw, which lets him turn around, and then boom, I knock him out, and just like that, we can make our way up towards Dr. Hypatia's office. The elevator seems convenient, so we take it up to our office. Unfortunately, these 2 enemies are blocking my path forward, so we wait for their conversation to stop. We wait for this guy on the right to make his way out the room and teleport behind the guy sitting down and knock him out. However, when entering Dr. Hypatia's office, a note on her door tells us that she's not in there, but instead she's in the recuperation auditorium instead, which is on another floor. So this was a complete waste of time. And now we're forced to head out the way we came here, enter the elevator and make our way to the recuperation auditorium. Now you see, here we're immediately presented with a bunch of bugs, and they're hostile. But thankfully this game does not count these bugs as, enemies and also being detected, which if they did, it would make this game so much harder. This also applies to those corrupted dogs, which are very annoying, and you'll see later on. Anyway, after a quick teleport past the bugs, we find the one and only Dr. Hypatia. And it turns out she's a bit cuckoo. But hey, at least she tells us that Anton Sokolov was taken away to a man named Jindosh. But as for information on the crown killer, well, you see, it turns out she's the goddamn crown killer, and she transforms into this teleporting monster thing. We escape her undetected, thankfully, as it did kind of shit me up. And now our objective has changed drastically. Instead of finding information on the crown killer, we now have to create a counter serum that we can inject into her, as that would return her back to her normal self. And so off we go to figure out how to make it. We make our way to the disease treatment floor. Upon arriving, I simply cannot enter the room because, you see, these 2 enemies on the stairs will immediately detect me the moment I step 1 foot forward. So I have to deal with them first. I go around, teleport onto the chandelier and carefully time it perfectly to knock out both of these guys without being detected. After sneaking around carefully, we find the journal inside a safe, and from here we create the counter serum just nearby. Now thankfully I did clear the path back to Dr. Hypatia, or rather the crown killer, before making the serum, so it's simply a straight backtrack to her. I carefully make my way behind her without her hearing me, and inject the counter serum into her, and just like that, we've reverted her back to her normal self, and non-lethally taken out the crown killer. But before we can get back to the boat, we need to shut down the watchtower, as it turns out the watchtower is preventing the boat from making it to us because of the lights. And after carefully backtracking my way out the building and through this back door, the only way forward is behind, because you see these 2 guys in front of us, well, they are in the way and they don't seem like they're going to be moving anytime soon. We follow the rocky cliff path around the building, similar to how we kind of got in. We see the watchtower right there that we need to disable, but annoyingly, I cannot drag this guy from behind and knock him out, because for some reason the game doesn't let me here, even though it is possible. I think it's probably because my character is on an uneven level to the enemy, maybe, I don't know. However, after timing the movement carefully of the other guard, it gave me the perfect opportunity to teleport to the watchtower. We take out the whale oil and there we have it. We wait for the boat to arrive and sail off with Megan Foster with a successful mission in our books. Psych! You thought I succeeded? Well, it turns out I somehow killed a hostile, which I don't remember doing at all, and this annoyed me at the time, because for one, it took me like 40 something bloody minutes to do, and for two, I had to restart the entire mission from the beginning, but luckily I already know the routes to take because I just did it. And so fast forward about half an hour after doing the same thing over and over, we're back here at the watchtower, we take out the whale oil once again, and sail off, successfully completing the mission on the second attempt, with 0 kills and 0 detections. Now that's just near the beginning of the game. Dishonored 2 is way less forgiving compared to the first game, and you will slowly start to see in this video. We make our way back to the big boat, and here we prepare for the next mission, and that is to make our way to the mansion of Kirin Jindosh and take him out whilst also rescuing Sokolov. Now this mission is absolutely insane. It's got, in my opinion, the most unique level design hands down, and there are plenty of robots involved. We make our way to the docks, and to get to the mansion we need to take a carriage, but getting there might be a problem as the carriage station is protected like hell. There is a big wall of light and a shit ton of guards. Now we can either disable the wall of light and sneak our way in, or maybe we'll find a different way. Let's try the black market shop, as Megan Foster tells us that we can buy a rewire tool, and this will help us in getting past the wall of light. However, getting to the shop might be tricky, so the best course of action is verticality. I teleported up to this roof, and I was about to teleport onto the rails, only to realize it was electrified, and that would have immediately fried me. But it's okay, we make our way there with ease. Now, upon talking to the shopkeeper, it turns out I cannot buy anything from her because apparently she's getting a visit from some sketchy people right now, and so she said she'll talk to us after. And just like that, we wait for the mysterious people to arrive here and just hide. They do arrive, and I'll be honest, I don't know what their lore is or who they are, but they do seem important. Anyway, after waiting for a while until they leave, we return to the shopkeeper only to realize that buying this rewire tool was a complete mistake. Because, I mean, think about it. A rewire tool for the wall of light means changing it from killing me to killing enemies. And in this game, a wall of light indirect kill counts as an elimination. So that was a complete waste of time. I mean, I can't even buy this ticket booth key to help me out anymore because I don't have any money left. And so I am left with no other option but to somehow get past the wall of light undetected without anything to help me. But then I realized, wait a minute, this is Dishonored, there's always a way. And so I leave the shop to figure out how to make it past the death trap there is the station entrance. I realized I could just teleport around this right side, and I teleport behind this gigantic tree. Like seriously, it's a gigantic tree. Then I tiptoe around and realize there's an alleyway full of traps, and so I disarm them all and spot these two strange individuals waiting for somebody to go past so they can ambush them. And I realized that that could have been me very easily if I had gone the traditional route, I think. And so I opt for the alternate route and just teleport above them onto the building itself. And yeah, I kind of didn't realize the spikes in this game bounce you off, and I just fell to my death. Let's try that again. I spot an opening in the window and successfully make our way into the carriage undetected, and we are now en route one step closer to the mansion. Now from here, all we have to do to actually get to the mansion is enter a code at the security gate so it opens up for our carriage. But the code is somewhere written down by a guard, and so off we go to look for the code. Now I would assume it's somewhere in this massive building. After looking around for a while and then making it all the way to one of the upper floors, I spot this guard who's fast asleep, and on the table, lo and behold, is the gate code. And just like that, we escape undetected from the building with absolute ease. We enter the gate code that we just obtained, and finally make our way to the Jindosh mansion. And here is where carnage begins, because I'll let you know right now, this part of the mission took me a while to beat, so I'll try to edit and show the relevant parts, and not everything, as it would make for a long video if I did. Also, just take a look at how beautiful the environments are in this game. Definitely a massive step up from the first game. Now, when entering the mansion, I remembered years ago when I played this mission that if I pull this lever, the entire layout of this floor will change, and that's not what I want to do because, for one, I'm pretty sure it will alert Jindosh if I'm not mistaken, and he will know that I'm here, and for two, it makes it pretty complicated to navigate. And so after looking around for other ways in, I realized I can just shoot the ceiling window and make our way around the contraption instead of experiencing it. Now for me, I have to be careful as there are plenty of robots around and a bunch of enemies. So I sneak my way from this side room that appears to be some sort of maintenance room, I believe. I finally make it deeper into the mansion only to spot 2 enemies blocking the only way forward. They do help me as they do say the robot will only awaken if there is noise, so that pretty much confirms that I can slip past it undetected, and so I wait for them to stop talking. Whilst waiting, I found this door that goes absolutely nowhere, so that's quite useful, I guess. I assume that we'll be using this door later on whilst exiting the mansion. Now, I spent too long in this room because one of the enemies has a routine where she walks into this room, and so I messed up because yeah, she spots me, and so we restart. Now this time, I hide behind this piece of wall and wait for her to pass, only to completely mess up my teleport as I accidentally whacked the powered down robot. And because I made a lot of noise, it wakes up and that's an instant fail. Attempt 3. And this time, will I get it right? Well, let's find out. Now, I think the game messed up because instead of the guard exiting towards the left as she's meant to, she walks back to where she came from, so I'm not sure what that's about. But it doesn't matter anyway because I knock her out, and when I go to hide her body, yeah, this happens. But I'm going to assume that she's not dead, even though she looks quite dead. I mean, thankfully this game lets you see your current mission stats, and as you can see here, she is indeed not dead. Now, I'm not sure what happened with this guy because he starts running towards me for no reason at all, even though I made no noise, and I thought he detected me, but he didn't. However, he was not moving at all, so I made some noise by swinging my sword on purpose to lure him in, and then I knocked him out. Now at this point, I genuinely have no idea where to go, except for the laboratory, where I assume that's where Jindosh is. I spot an elevator on the other side of the room. However, this enemy is in the way, so I get rid of him and hide the body where nobody can find it. I enter the elevator, push the button to go to the private area, wherever that means, and hopefully we'll progress forward. Now, I almost got detected the moment the elevator door opens. However, it's no problem at all as I knock the person out that almost spotted me. And then I take out the only remaining enemy up here. Now, after looking around, I accidentally stumble upon Jindosh's bedroom, I think, or wherever this room is. And it has a balcony. And I realize that I can teleport my way from this balcony towards this section, which I can only assume is the way forward to get to the laboratory. And by the way, I don't know how to pronounce the laboratory. Is that the right pronunciation, or am I just fumbling it? Anyway, I stumble upon yet another elevator. But this one actually takes us directly there, and just like that we have arrived, only to immediately realize that every time this elevator door opens, one of Jindosh's robots detects movement or noise or whatever, and instantly comes to check it. And this caused me some problems because, as you can see, I kinda panicked when I heard it come down, and I hid in this corner like an absolute pussy. Oh, don't spot me, don't spot me, don't spot me, don't spot me, don't spot me. Oh, for fuck! For the next attempt, I thought maybe I can hide in the other corner when the robot comes. And yeah, that one also did not work. So for the next attempt, I thought maybe I can hide on the side next to the elevator. And surprisingly, that actually worked. Only joking, the robot has some of the most broken detection ever because, I mean, look at this. It's walking away from me and it can still detect me. Explain how that works. Now for the next attempt, I figured, why am I being an absolute pussy and hiding and waiting for this robot to come? Why not enter the room before the robot comes to the elevator? And this one actually worked, which made me feel a bit stupid. But I can't just teleport up there to Jindosh, as he has robots up there and will spot me. So I looked around.
False positive.
I don't want to talk about it. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't want to talk about that one. Let's try this again. Now this attempt I took my time, and I realized at this moment, wait a minute, there's one more floor above me in the elevator that I didn't go to. So I just went back to the elevator and realized that I can go to the office straight from here, which is where Jindosh is located, and there he is. Now we need to figure out how to knock him out. And yes, this probably will not complete the non-lethal takedown, but hey, at least it's a start, right? I noticed that he walks around this floor quite often. So I made my way to his desk and found a note which helped me locate where Sokolov is, so that's quite handy. But that's not my priority right now. My priority is taking out Jindosh undetected whilst his group of robots are nearby and has literal Superman hearing. But with a few teleports, I somehow managed to knock him out undetected and then hid his body in the elevator room for the time being. And at this moment I realized I can stealth kill these robots because they don't count as detections, and so I waited for the perfect opportunity. I teleported above this robot and very quickly disabled his head by attacking it from above, and it worked. The robot can no longer see me, so that's one robot down. I think there's like one more to go. I do the exact same thing for the other robot too, and I rip his head off. And just like that, we're still undetected, as you can see here. Now I need to carry Jindosh's unconscious body and figure out how to take him out. I looked around and realized that there's a chair here, so maybe I can place Jindosh inside the chair. So I make my way back to his body and pick him up. And what do you know, I can put him in the chair. But now I need to turn on the electricity, which I believe will electrocute him? Or do something to him that hopefully won't kill him. After messing around with the buttons and figuring out how to generate enough power, I finally managed to succeed. I pull the lever and it turns out instead of killing him, it erases his memories, which is even better, because now Jindosh has no knowledge on how to build these robots, so he's basically useless and innocent. And boom, just like that, objective completed. Now to head off and rescue Sokolov. I make my way out the laboratory towards where Sokolov is located, knock out this enemy who's in our way and admire the beautiful view. I mean, look at that. And from here I stumble upon this assessment chamber area where Sokolov is. And it looks pretty complicated. So basically what I have to do here is make it to Sokolov without this giant robot thing detecting me. And to do that I need to stand on these pressure plates which change the environment and open up different pathways. And this was surprisingly quite easy. We find Sokolov, who's clearly in bad shape, I mean look at him, and then we take his tired body out the way we came, avoiding the giant robot prowling around. Now from here our objective is to simply exit the mansion and make it back to the boat. I backtrack the exact way I came in, take the elevator, and remember earlier I did say that this door would be useful for escaping, and hey, it is. I flick the lever which changes the configuration of the room, but you see there's a robot blocking my exit out of here, so I have to put down Sokolov to deal with this clanker. I very quickly teleport into the room and deal the killing blow to the robot where I rip his head off, and just like that we leave the mansion with Sokolov and head back to the city district, where once again we backtrack away the same way we came in, avoiding every guard and successfully completing the mission. And as you can see here, 2 bodies were detected, but you know, who gives a shit? This mission was a pain in the ass, and I'm just glad I completed it without myself being detected, as well as getting 0 kills. After getting back to the boat with Sokolov, we instantly get pulled into another weird dreamlike space, only this time it turns out Delilah can straight up drag us in whenever she wants. Which is great, I guess. She walks us through a backstory with Jessamine, but that's not why we're here. We push forward and exit the dreamlike space, and the next mission takes us to the Royal Conservatory. The target this time is Brianna Ashworth, one of Delilah's main allies. She's building some kind of machine that absolutely cannot be allowed to exist. Oh, and she's also a witch, because, you know, why not? So the whole mission ends up being us sneaking around a building packed with witches, which is exactly as annoying as it sounds. Anyway, we get dropped off into the sewers, and we can either find and talk to a man named Vice Overseer Byrne, which he may tell us something important about Brianna, or we can make our way there ourselves and deal with her on my own. And that's exactly what I do. First things first, the moment I exit the boat, my dumbass gets spotted immediately in seconds, so we're off to a fantastic start. Let's try that again. This time I teleport above right here, and slowly keep teleporting across balconies to make it closer to where we need to be. Once again there's a wall of light blocking the main entrance, but again this is Dishonored. Just teleport above and make our way there. But never mind, all the windows are locked. However, I spied a way around on the rooftop right here on the side, and after a few quick teleports and avoiding these annoying bugs, I eventually made my way right to the building where Brianna is located. Now from here there is a watchtower that clearly needs to be taken care of, as it will be a problem. And so with absolute ease I just teleport onto it and take out the whale oil to disable the light, and that's taken care of. From here I just teleport onto the main sign and then up onto the ledge of the building where I find this conveniently opened window, and boom, we're in. All that's left is to find Brianna and take her out. Now this main room may look intimidating at first, but I promise it's way easier than it looks. It may look overwhelming as it's just a big room filled of witches and floating things, but conveniently enough Brianna is just above us, and after a few jump ups and then teleporting to the room that she's in, I thought maybe I could teleport above her without her realizing, but yeah, it turns out this happens. I'll be honest, I did not expect that at all. She literally caught me mid-teleport and ragdolled my ass, so that clearly won't work around her. So this time, instead of trying to enter through the side window, I look at the door keyhole only to realize that she's surrounded by a bunch of demonic dogs, and she's also talking to a version of Delilah that is not there. It's complicated. Anyway, since I clearly cannot enter through the main door or teleport in the side window, I figured I'd look around to see another way in. And I'll be so honest with you, At this point, I was struggling. It took me about 20 minutes to finally figure out what to do here. After waiting a long ass time for our dogs to walk around because they apparently go upstairs at some point, it leaves Brianna alone downstairs. But the problem is she's sitting down, so I can't knock her out from behind. And so I slip past her somehow undetected. I mean, look at this. How am I not getting detected? I slowly tiptoe my way upstairs, and it turns out her dogs are just chilling there. But luckily, it turns out that if you just backstab the dog without it noticing, it doesn't count as a kill. And after almost fumbling the kill, I do end up killing the dog and destroying its skull so it cannot respawn. Now at this point, I'm just looting the room hoping to find something, and I find some discarded lenses and a note that tells us that if we go to the machine that she's working on and replace the lenses with the discarded ones that I just found, it will sever Brianna's witch connection to Delilah, and she will be basically useless, similar to Jindosh. And so that's exactly what I go off to do. I sneak my way around to the machine without any witches noticing, very quickly replace the lenses and teleport out of there, only to realize that I need to activate the bloody machine. So I get back down there to activate it. A cutscene plays where Brianna just somehow teleports here, and the machine basically does some crazy shit and it affects Brianna, and just like that she is taken care of. Now before we leave, there is one more thing to do. The game wants us to grab her audiograph, which basically lets us know what her role is in this entire operation to make Delilah the Empress. So we head down to the basement, I think, where it's located. Luckily there is no enemies here at all, because if I'm not mistaken, removing Brianna's link to Delilah affected her witches too. I grab the audiograph and escape the same way I came in, and also backtrack the exact same way I made it here from the boat. And just like that, another mission is down with 0 detections and 0 kills. We head back to the boat for a quick debrief, and we're back to it. Our next mission takes us to the Dust District, to the Manor of Aramis Stilton. We're here to find information linking Delilah to him, and Aramis Stilton was a Karnakan mine baron who mysteriously disappeared before all of this went down. After he vanished, the district fell apart, and Duke Luca Abel took control of the mines for himself. His mansion was later used by the Duke and his inner circle for a seance that helped bring Delilah back from the void. So basically we're heading into what used to be a luxury mansion, now a decaying mess, to figure out what actually happened here and how it all connects. Now to actually get to the mansion, we have to make it to Megan Foster, who's waiting for us on the other side of the Wall of Light. Now the great thing about this mission in particular is a dust storm regularly passes by, and we can use our dust storm to our advantage. I teleport high up to the windmill and time it perfectly. I disable the Wall of Light, and as the dust storm is about to pass by, I very quickly teleport my way past the Wall of Light, avoiding all the enemies that are blinded by the dust. Now upon meeting Megan, she tells us that there is a door with a confusing puzzle that is in our way, and we need to solve this door to get to the mansion. Now we can do this in 3 different ways. There are 2 factions out fighting here, and we can go to either one of them and bring the opposing leader's body to them, so that the group can provide you with a written solution to the door puzzle. But I opted to solve the door on my own, because I like to think I'm pretty good at puzzles, and after about 10 to 15 minutes I'd say and a piece of paper right in front of me, I managed to finally make it through the door. And there we have it. That mission is very short and very simple. Now we arrive at the mansion of Aramis Stilton, and this mission's level design, by the way, is super innovative, and it's why a game like Dishonored 2 deserves the praise it gets. Here we need to figure out what happened here 3 years ago when a ritual happened, and find out Delilah's secrets. But here's the catch. This mansion disables your powers. I cannot use my teleport or anything like that, and it completely changes how you approach the mission. Upon entering the mansion, we notice that it's in ruins, and it looks abandoned. However, after exploring for a couple of minutes, we stumble into Aramis Stilton himself. But I mean, look at him, he's clearly not in the best shape and has definitely lost his mind. The outsider appears to us once again, and he tells us that this place is completely warped by the void, and that even magic itself does not work here. He explains that everything went wrong during a secret seance that took place in this mansion 3 years ago, and that ritual is the reason the house is stuck like this. To help us move forward, he gives us a timepiece, which is basically a device that lets us jump between the past and the present, allowing us to change what happened here and see the consequences play out in real time. And now we need to use this device and figure out Delilah's secrets. Our first objective is to find out the code to her safe. Now I love this concept. Being able to change the timeline and do things that actually affects the present day was super creative. After exploring for a while and stealthily moving around, avoiding every type of detection, I noticed that there's a chandelier configuration right there, and it takes me to the attic. And after moving between past and present to get up there, Well, it didn't help at all because it's just an optional area for loot. So that was a waste of time. I also find a safe room that has some loot, I guess. There's a bunch of locked doors. But eventually, after using the timepiece and moving around, I noticed a key sitting on this chair in the past timeline. And so I hid beneath the table, I changed the timeline, grabbed the key which ends up being the master key, and that actually helps quite a lot. I sneak my way out, avoiding the weepers and demonic dogs in the present day, and head off to the master room location. Now, you see, this area is crawling with enemies in the past timeline, but in the present day timeline there's also a couple of demonic dogs, and I figured the dogs are much easier to handle as they don't count as killing, so I changed to the current day timeline. I use both sleep darts and cross bolts on the dogs to avoid detection, and get past this floor one step closer to the combination. Now here's where it gets a bit sticky because all over this top floor there are enemies in both timelines, but once again the present day timeline is a lot easier to deal with, so I use a stun mine on this weeper that makes his way closer to me and knock him out unconscious, and from here I make it past these annoying bugs by changing the timeline from present to past. I wait for this one guard to turn his back so I can make my way forward. Now, I'd rather tank the bugs than get spotted by the enemies in the past, and that's exactly what I do. I just end up swinging my sword, destroying all the bugs on their nest, but luckily nobody hears me because nobody's around. And after destroying the bug's nest, I use the device to change the timeline, and just like that, I very sneakily enter the courtyard door that leads us towards the combination. Now, at this point, it's once again similar to the house in that the present day contains a bunch of demonic dogs, and the past contains some enemies and some regular dogs. So I opted for the present day, and end up just taking out the demonic dogs with sleep darts and regular crossbow bolts, which, works quite well. I make it to where the combination is, only to find a note that provides absolutely no value in the present day, so I change to the past timeline. I tried to knock this guy out, but I guess the game doesn't let you knock people out in the past timeline, I think? But no worries, I do find another note here, and this time the note tells us the code to the study door, where hopefully we can learn about Delilah's secrets. And from here I backtrack my way to where I need to enter the code to get inside the door. But there's a problem. The door in the present day is completely useless, so I need to enter the code in the past timeline. However, as you can see, these two guys are not moving at all. They're trying to get inside the door, but they just don't go anywhere. And so I figured out the best course of action is to make some noise and lure them away. And that's exactly what I did. I go around the corner to where they can't see me, I swing my sword and draw the attention of them, very quickly change to the present day, make my way to the door and quickly switch back to the past and enter the code, and we are in just like that. Now here the timeline starts glitching out or something, so I assume we're close. And after witnessing the pretty lengthy backstory to Delilah's ritual and learning about how she came back from the void with the help of her allies, which were slowly taken out one by one, we now have to make our way out the mansion and back to the Dust District, which is, pretty simple. I'm sure you can tell by now that backtracking in this game is super easy. However, the only thing in my way are these two guards who refuse to move, completely blocking my path to the boat. So after a bit of quick thinking, I hit one of them with a sleep dart, which instantly pulls the attention of basically every enemy in the area. They all rush over to investigate where they think the shot came from, and that gives me the perfect opening to teleport straight past them and get back to the boat. And just like that, the mission is done with 0 kills and 0 detections. After basically almost all of Delilah's allies being taken care of, there is one left, and that's the Duke Luca Bell himself. He rules Serkanos, and he's the man who basically orchestrated the coup against us, and our objective is to enter his grand palace, find the real him because he does have a body double, and take him out, whilst also locating Delilah's spirit, as that's the only way of counteracting her immortality, and off we go. This mission, by the way, reminds me so much of Hitman, I don't know why. I think it's probably because of the mission layout. It feels like a classic Hitman level. Anyway, we sneakily avoid all the guards by staying up high, disable the watchtower which is preventing us from entering towards the mansion, also disable the windmill whilst we're at it, and from here we wait patiently for the right moment to strike and teleport to the door, and we're in. Now the Duke's mansion is right there, and I mean, look at it. It looks absolutely beautiful. But we need to get to it. So I opted for the safest route, which is this time not above because there's nothing above, but instead to swim around the side into the ocean. After a few neat little teleports and avoiding of all the guards, we managed to make our way onto the very strangely designed roof of the mansion. But I noticed as I was teleporting around avoiding everybody, the game automatically progressed a lot of the conversations that people were having, and it basically kind of bypassed their entire conversation. And the game gave me plenty of hints. One of them being that the real Duke has a vault key on him, and that's good to know. I almost get detected here after making a bit too much noise, and this causes the enemy to come over, but luckily he was in the perfect opportunity for a knockout, and so I dump his body right here where I can only assume that nobody will find him, right? I mean, it looks pretty safe up here. After a few more teleports, I end up finding this opened up area, which seems quite helpful, and what do you know? I somehow stumble into the Duke's chambers first try. Now the real Duke is up there, but he has a personal guard with him, so I figured I cannot exactly make it up there without being detected. And so I just look around the mansion, and after looking around for a while, I find basically nothing of value. I went back to the chambers only to realize that he's finally made his way down from above, but this time he's alone, and so I wait for the perfect moment to knock him out and dump his body into the bathroom where he cannot be found. Now we're going to remember that he's here because it's going to be important very soon, especially when I need to neutralize him. Now at this point I remember that he has a body double, and Megan Foster at the start of this mission said that he's quite nice and we can talk to him, which I assume will help in actually neutralizing the real Duke, and so I go to find him. Now as I'm teleporting around looking for something, anything, I found this guard blocking this door, so I assume that he must be somewhere inside. I sneak behind the guard, open the door, and my dumbass immediately gets fried, not realizing I was walking on live wires. Second time around I move in properly, disable the contraption, and there he is, the fake Duke, and sure enough he is actually a nice guy. He explains the plan to us. He'll take the real Duke's place, and all we have to do is knock the real one out, which we already did if you remember, and drag his body to his quarters. So I backtrack, I grab the unconscious Duke from the bathroom, dump him on his massive bed, and a cutscene plays where the plan works perfectly. The real Duke gets taken away for supposedly impersonating himself, which is pretty ironic, and just like that the Duke is dealt with, leaving only one thing left to do: grabbing Delilah's soul, which is sitting in his vault building nearby. I make it there, and the only obstacle in my way is his robot and an electrified alarm thing, so I very quickly enter through the roof, disable the alarm before getting myself killed, and head off into the vault. I pick up Delilah's soul, which ends up also removing Jessamine's soul, so we had to let go of our mother, but it's all good. It's a sacrifice that has to happen. I backtracked my way out the same way I came in, but luckily I don't have to backtrack any further. As it turns out, Megan Foster will actually meet us nearby, and so after avoiding the robot that's patrolling the vault, I make it to the boat, and just like that, another mission successfully completed, which then leads us into the final mission of the game. Our final mission starts at the boat itself. Before heading off to take out Delilah, it turns out that Megan Foster is not Megan Foster, but instead she is Billy Lurk, an ex-assassin who ran with Dowd from the first game, and she aided him in killing our mother Jessamine. Now we can either ignore this or be angry at her, and so we just ignore her, I guess, because I mean you could kill her, but the game does let you do that. However, we can't for this challenge, so Billy Lurk will just say they're alive, living with the guilt. Anyway, it's time. We head off back to Dunwall Tower to confront Delilah and take back my throne. Now first things first, we have to actually make it to the Dunwall Tower entrance, which isn't really that hard to be honest. This whole part of the mission before actually entering the building is super simple. It's just a case of once again staying up very high and slowly teleporting my way around. I do have to be careful though, because I'm pretty sure there are, witches somewhere around lurking, but we proceed safely onwards and make it to the final checkpoint before the tower itself. Now we need to open that gate right there to actually go forward, and to do so we just fill up a well-oiled container, pop it in and power up the gate, and voila! Dunwall Tower is in our face. Getting inside the tower seemed like it maybe could be tricky, but just like pretty much every mission in this game, all we have to do is stay high up. Now there was this dog in the way of a tunnel entrance, and so I used a crossbow bolt on the dog and very quickly entered the tower before the dog respawned. And just like that we are in. Immediately we find a note, and this note tells us that Delilah has shut down power to the elevator for security reasons, so we can't use that. Now at this point I remember years ago that you don't actually have to take the elevator to her, as there is an alternate route to get to her, and you're gonna see later on. But before we can do that, I start exploring the main room to find any way to non-lethally take her out. Now I overhear that Delilah is working on something mysterious in the chapel, and this is exactly what we need, so I make my way there. Now this part is quite tricky on the surface, because the path to get there is full of robots and witches. So after teleporting to the middle floor, I see Delilah's statue right there that we can talk to, but for the safe side, I'm going to not do that because maybe it counts as a detection, I don't know. But instead we're just going to sneakily make our way into the chapel. All we have to do here is basically stay up high on the chandeliers, avoiding all the witches and robots, and very quickly make our way inside. Inside the chapel we find a note that gives us instructions on how to make a corrupt rune, and this corrupt rune will allow us to trap Delilah's soul inside her painting forever. We pick up all the ingredients nearby, we create the corrupted rune, and from here all we have to do is make our way up. And luckily the chapel has a route above us that will take us one step closer. After leaving the chapel, the best course of action now is to stay up high and teleport our way to this chimney, because you see, this chimney holds a secret. However, there is a dog and a witch in our way. So I take out the dog from above, which causes the witch to go investigate, and very quickly make our way down. I open the secret entrance inside the chimney fireplace, and from here we brofist the lock onto the door with our special ring and make our way inside. Now remember earlier in the video right at the start, well, we find Ramsey, but Delilah has kind of turned Ramsey into a frozen statue. So rest in peace, or rather rest in piss, because, you know, fuck Ramsey. Anyway, we go to the safe room, and from here we sneak up behind Delilah and use the heart against her, which forces her to go inside her own painting. Now, instead of entering the painting immediately, we first have to place the corrupted rune on the throne, which will basically act as a kind of way to trap her soul inside the painting. But first, we need to actually go inside the painting and deal with her physical body. And this part took me a few tries. I noticed that Delilah was sitting right there, but as I tried to sneak my way to her, I kept getting spotted by her replicas no matter which way I went. I was just always spotted. Now at this point I realized that that's not even Delilah on the goddamn chair, as instead it seems to be a statue version of her. And so I look around hoping to find something, anything, and in the corner of my eye, I spot glowing aura radiating, and zooming in on it, I realize that's goddamn Delilah herself. And so we need to get up there to knock her out. I looked around for a way up and found this opening on the left side, which led me right behind her. And just like that, I knocked her out, took her unconscious body back inside the real world, placed her on the throne where the corrupted rune is taking effect, and her soul gets trapped inside the painting, which she follows into. The painting then closes forever, and Delilah is trapped there for good, and we have successfully taken her out in a non-lethal way. We rescue the frozen statue of Corvo and turn him back into a real person, and boom, mission complete and challenge successful. As you can see bottom right, the achievements are all popping up, and Dishonored 2 has been completed. And now I leave you with this final cutscene.
And so the time of crisis in Karnaca came to an end, with the city's wisest citizens unscathed. Led by its new council, the southern capital was pulled back from the brink of anarchy, and Serkonos began to thrive. In Dunwall, without ever realizing it, Delilah passed into an imagined world where her father's promises were fulfilled and her subjects would love her forever, as she sailed the ocean with a great fleet and trekked across the Pendician wastes. While in the true capital, Emily the Just, Emily the Clever, ruled for decades over a prosperous, mended empire with Corvo Attano by her side. In his day, Anton Sokolov fired the engines of industry, hurtling the empire into a more sophisticated age. He dallied with nobles, wayward artists, and great inventors alike, drinking in all that life could offer. Leaving Dunwall for the last time, he headed to the cold north, contented at last, on a final voyage to take him home. There are things that never change, no matter how hard you try. Questions you must answer. As Megan Foster faded from the world, Billy Lurk stepped from her shadow, setting out to discover her truest self, and seeking the closest thing she'd ever known to family.